welcome. I'm John Chen. I'm the host of today's program, The Engagement Show. Today's theme is Stop Losing Intention. Of course, my co-host coming in from Canada is the one and only Roger Haskett. Roger, how are you doing?
Hey, John, I'm doing really well. It's not nice. It's a gray day in Vancouver, but I'm happy to be sharing the day with you.
I know it's rainy here, but in my virtual background, it always looks fantastic. It always looks fantastic. So it's so great to get a chance to catch up with you, Roger. And I'm excited because I got a chance to share. Leading up to my conference, I got seven of my speakers to run a little program called Stop Losing Attention. It was a showcase, kind of like a highlight or a preview. And these seven speakers came in and each one shared an engaging secret. And I was amazed at the response, Roger. Number one, too, right? You want to keep something engaging, change something like in this case, it was every 8 minutes, another speaker came on. And the other part, though, is bring amazing speakers. Because I got reports that some people said this was like the best video of the year. I actually got a phone call just before we started streaming today, Roger, and he said, I took away something from every speaker. He was blown away that we had that much rapid fire content. So, do you mind if we share one of the speakers that we have here?
Please do.
So the first one is Leah Bliss. So Leah Bliss is one of the top LinkedIn experts that is out there. And I got to tell you that I was just at a workshop with 65 business owners, and a business owner posted after her workshop using all of her tips, and he got 50,000 impressions, more than all of his posts combined together for the beginning of the year. Here comes her tip right now.
You can do this if you are never going to meet them in person. You can show
Oh, hold on a second. Let me bring up here.
up on LinkedIn and start a conversation in the comments with anyone. You don't have to be connected to them. So, what we always tell people, Richard and I, you've heard us say this before, we'll say it again. What you need to do is 3 comments a day, 5 days a week. That's it. Very, very simple. You will have more people engaging and interacting with you this way than anything else.
There we go. Inside of that, all right, it's 3 comments a day in LinkedIn. It's something that's really tangible. And I thought what was important, Roger, is like, how to create engagement on LinkedIn, and that it actually is so simple and doable. So that was one of her top tips.
I love that. I wrote it down on my notepad over here because I use LinkedIn all the time. It's one of our major platforms, and I often think about comments, and I comment sporadically about things, but I literally say every year, okay, so I need to comment more in LinkedIn and create more conversations. It's great to hear it said so succinctly, 3 times a day, 5 days a week to do comments. I'm gonna start doing that.
Well, and here's another one, Roger, too. Since you said you were speaking at so many different events or conferences, one of her tips too is just start commenting on the top people in the organization you're going to work with, because that
Right.
will actually get them to know who you are before you arrive on stage.
Yeah, that's a smart one as well, isn't it? And I mean, just to obviously identify people who you want to be having conversations with, and or people who you want to have you top of mind, and start those conversations. As a matter of fact, okay, so Tom Singer, who is a
Yes.
extremely talented. Oh no, wait, is it Tom or is it? No, I'm
Oh,
getting
it's
the
not.
name. No, wait, I'm not sure if that's the person I interacted with. I'll have to look it up. But so this person that I've been following for, years and years and years, and I went onto their blog and I wrote a comment. They had this really interesting dynamic blog that made me think about stuff, and I wrote this comment on the blog. And the person, if it was Tom or someone else, I need to look it up. Oh my goodness. Anyway, they wrote back and they said to me, "That is the most thoughtful comment I've ever had on my blog." And I was like, well, isn't that interesting? Because it was just out of my head. I was just like, saying what I thought was in my head. But that's exactly what Leah Bliss is talking about here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that she really says too, LinkedIn is not a place like social media to like get sales or do things like that. Right now, LinkedIn is really geared towards conversations, and that's the way to engage with people, just like you did, right? You made a connection with this person through your comment, and so that's why comments are so important in LinkedIn right now.
Well, okay, let me tie it into one of my points here. Let's bring it up over here. Okay, so I've started these social media posts that they're basically engagement tips. So things that I take from my topics, from my keynotes, from my workshops, etc. And so this is like, one of the basis, the basic building block, I believe, of engagement is like what I believe engagement actually is active participation, is when you actively participate with people, that's when you're engaged. And so what Leah's talking about here, what we're talking about here, is a type of engagement. Because if you're conversing, if you're starting a conversation or commenting on a conversation, if that's not active participation, what is? Right? I mean, that's exactly what it is. And when you start interacting and engaging with people and start active participating with them, who knows where it's going to go? As a matter of fact, we do know engagement is a multiplier, so it could go almost anywhere.
Unbelievable. Thank you so much, Roger, for that. Yeah, participation changes everything. And I love that you say that it's around active engagement. Again, I've been sharing with multiple people a measurement that I have. It's called TTE, right? Time to engagement.
Oh, yeah.
And that the top speakers, right? CSP, certified speaking professionals, Hall of Famers, almost all of them are like 0 and 1. They engage in that first minute. They think about, actually, most of them too are engaging even before they get on stage like this by, doing things like commenting on LinkedIn and other places. And that, people who don't, there was somebody who droned on for 40 or 50 minutes of a 60-minute keynote, all right? And the energy and the participation and that engagement just starts dropping every minute that goes along with that. Well, cool. Well, I'm going to share another example here. Do you know my friend Tim Gard?
Oh, I know that name.
Yeah, Tim Gard is a Hall of Famer in humor. All right. And he's so great. He's a master at using humor to engage his audiences and get people to remember stuff. And he's so good at it. Like, I watch some of my favorite movies, let's say like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I watch the movie and I'll watch it again, even though I know everything that's going to happen because it's so comedically funny in the moment. Tim is like that. He'll tell the same story that I might actually know, and I'm still laughing because he's found a way to tell it in such a way that it's still funny, right? Even if you know the punchline. So I want to share this cool little video that he had. It was about a TSA little bit disaster that he had, and he made a new invention with it. And so one of the cool parts around that I appreciate about Tim is he takes everyday insights and somehow or another he makes them funny and better. Here we go.
I was on a plane that landed in Dulles Airport. When I got off the plane, they told me I needed to gate check my bag. So I gate checked my bag. They gave me a little stub. And when I went to get off the plane, I didn't have the stub. And I went to get my bag. They wouldn't give it to me. They made me go all the way back to baggage claim to get my bag. And I raced there and got it, and I didn't know what to do because I ran back. Here is the line to get back in through security. TSA, there's 100 people. I didn't know what to do. I've never done this before. And I cut in the line. And this guy doesn't say anything, but this guy goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm cutting in line." And he goes, "You can't do that." "You're right. I can't do that." He said, "I'm going to tell." I would tell. That's what I would do. I would tell somebody. And he goes, "You're going to get in trouble." "Probably." I would tell somebody right now. I put my bag out, it gets searched and everything, and he goes, "I hope you're proud of yourself." I said, "I am. I'm proud of myself." So I thought if it ever happened again, I needed to be prepared. So I came up with these. This is an official front of the line card. It says the bearer of this card is allowed to go to the front of the line one time only. It's on hologram paper. I thought I better be prepared. And then I thought, they're probably going to tell me that it's a joke. So on the back of it, it says, "Nope, this is not a joke. This card is very valuable. As the next bearer of this card, you're allowed to cut in front of the line." And I cut between the first and second person at Starbucks. And this lady looks at me. She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Front of the line card." Very valuable, very valuable. It has to be on a hologram paper. It's on hologram paper. She goes, "Is this a joke?" No, this is not a joke. This is very, very valuable, very valuable. And so she looked at me and she goes, and I handed it to her. I said, now you can cut the front line. The guy behind her goes, what's going on? She goes, front line card. Very valuable, very valuable.
There we go. That's Tim Gard, right? With the front of the line card. He's actually given me one of these, and we actually used a cut of the front of the line card in the Portland airport, and it is the funniest thing you have ever seen. Oh my
Well,
God.
I expect that most people accept it. Like the strange thing is that when you show people a piece of paper, a little piece of paper, and you go, "I've got official, it's official." So many people are like, "Oh, all right, okay, all right, great, let's get in front of me."
Well, and I love his ability to predict people's responses. He goes, "That's
No.
got to be some kind of joke," and he goes, turns the card around. It's not a joke. So it's like a two-stage comedy bit routine. He knows exactly what's going to happen.
It's very valuable. It's very
Oh
valuable.
yeah, very valuable. Yeah, he drops the third line with it. He also gave me. He has a fake credit card that goes with it, and it says second form of ID. Right, so when you check into a hotel, you can actually give this fake, and it says, "Here's the second form of ID," and it actually says, "This is a second form of ID." Like he knows he takes the what people are trained to do and makes it a joke, and it makes it even funnier. Oh my gosh.
So, in terms of how to create engagement, so Tim is amazing at creating engagement with comedy. So, in my talk, how to create engagement, I go through this outline, this book, just where it is, right here, just that. Where I go, this is a book written by these guys. It's magic, and they outline each letter is a different type of engagement. So M is meaning, and G is growth. And if you do these things, the idea is, can you see that? If you do these things, that creates engagement. And so I was like, this is amazing. I wish I had this slide ready. It would be so funny. Because magic is amazing and great, but it doesn't come anywhere close to all the different ways that you create engagement. So I created my own slide, my own acronym. They have magic. My acronym, it's funnier if you can see it, is SHEMPS, and it's SCCHHEEEMMMPPS. And each of those is a thing. Like S is what's the first one? Story, and then it's competition and collaboration, and then it's humor, because. And then it's got ... at the end, because there's just so many ways of creating engagement, right? There are just so many ways. There is more than magic, and it's more than Shemps. And comedy is an amazingly effective way of creating engagement, because you're actively participating when you're laughing. Guess what? You're actively participating when you're laughing.
Yeah, absolutely. What was one of mine? I think I had Graniplov or something like that. So it was this acronym right here,
Yeah.
and it was every front letter of that. And somebody came back around and just said, "Oh, it'd be even funnier if you just left it this way." Like I was trying to change all the names into something, and
Yeah.
basically people came back and gave me the joke that goes with it. It sounds like a piece of IKEA furniture, right? Gunipolis.
Nice.
Right?
So after my Shemps, my next slide is OMDISA. Like OMDISA, blah, 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 whatever. And it stands for, obviously, my skill set doesn't include snappy acronyms.
And you get a laugh, right?
Yeah, because it's funny and it's true. And all of a sudden, I've had people write to me on LinkedIn, talk about bringing it back, write to me and say, "Hey, Roger, what about Shemps?" Right?
Yeah.
Like, because it's easy to remember Shemps when.
Oh, that's you. And you know what? The best part too, Rogers. I don't know if your audience gave you this or like somebody else. Sometimes these magic pieces come around, and your audience is the one that tells you this is genius. You got to keep this. This is funny.
Well, often it's the audience that tells you where you're really supposed to put your energy, right? Like you're spending all your time on this, keynote or workshop, whatever. You're over here on this spot that takes 5 or 10 minutes, and the audience is like, "Hey, what are you doing? We want all your energy over here, where there's like 2 hours of content." And often you need the audience to twig your brain from creator mode to I'm the person who's absorbing it mode.
That's right. That's right. And again, the audience turns out to be right. In the face, like if it hits with the audience, that's when you know you got it right.
Yeah.
And again, sometimes it's the unexpected thing. All right, well, I got one more tip here on my side. My good friend Blair Lacourt, who's a four-time CEO too, he shared why engagement is a battle, right? Engagement is in a battle. Come check this out from my friend Blair.
The second thing I would say is that your battle is not with your content. Your battle is with attention. The human brain processes 1 billion bits of information a second, and people take in 10 bits a second. What does that mean? How can we even function? Why, that doesn't make any sense. Are they not listening to me at all? Of course we're listening to you. We're listening to you, but most of it is we're unconsciously listening to you, but we're consciously processing 10 bits of new information.
There we go, right? The battle for attention. I think, Roger, you know this too, right? It's not a battle for content, it's a battle for attention. There's so many things happening inside the world now. How do you get a group, right, to focus on one thing?
So I think this is like the age-old battle. I think it's just more technology has just made it more apparent.
Yes.
But it's never been an issue of content. It's always been an issue of engagement. It's never an issue of content. So I have people. Sorry about that. I have people nonstop who are like, okay, let's get into your content, and I'm like, oh, that's the wrong way to go about it. Like what we're doing is creating engagement. The content comes along for the ride. Like if you created engagement in the room, well, then you can do almost anything. You can do almost anything if there's engagement in the room. So thinking content first, like, so this is why way back when we started this talk show, John, I had like a, what do you call it? A title that came up that said, start with engagement. Because that's, if you're not starting with engagement, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah. And one of my recent experiences with this too, talking about engagement is I gave a talk on engagement. It was in Florida, and one of the people I asked, what do you want out of today? I mean, that was part of my TTE was like in the first 10 minutes, I'm going to ask people, what do they want from this program? Again, just to give the last minute, I kind of knew in general, but then I got some other person. This guy, Dave, says, I want to know what happens. What do you do, right, as a speaker when all your tech fails?
Ooh.
And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I've had this happen. Right? As somebody who relies on lots and lots of, well, here, I'll give you like lots and lots of technology. This stuff is going to fail eventually. And you as the speaker too can use it not only as a way to practice, how do I smooth things over? Often I told people, right, you can make the mistake the moment. You can make the mistake the moment. This is what great MCs, this is what great speakers do. And so invariably an hour later, Roger, the mics go out. Every single mic in the house goes out. And I don't know why, because we're in a new venue and a new tech, all right? And he come around and I said, then it just strikes you, right? It struck me on the improv. I'm like, David, this is for you, right? And so now I said, I'm going to do John's sign language, right? Here is what you do when all the microphones break. And the whole place is laughing. This is where that humor part too, where Tim is talking about, none of that was planned. So actually somebody who emailed me after the program says, John, did you architect that tech failure? And I told her, no, I said, I hope this will help you with the authenticity and the improv. That was not planned.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what's so funny about that? Okay, so my spouse, who's also a performer, we have 3 kids, and so this was probably like 5 years ago. My kids they would have been like like 6 and 8 and 14, and so we were doing something for the 6 and 8-year-old, and we were trying to explain improv, and I said, oh, like I'll just show you. So we made up a scene, and my wife joined in, and so we're talking back and forth, and my 2 kids are like going like this, they're like going like looking at us, and we stop and we're laughing, and I think my 8-year-old at the time, Cody, puts up his hand and he goes, where's the script? Did you write all that? Did you? And I was like, whoa, this was all improv to show you that this is improv. And his head just about exploded because he was like, that was the funniest thing ever that you wrote some other time and showed to me now. To go from that to you just made that up right now. That's improv, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's improv. So I've had 15 minutes for BCAA, which is a thing I did years and years ago. 15 minutes of dead time, and just this last year in January, I had 8 minutes. Whereas I had to jump up and fill 8 minutes in a virtual platform with everything else shutting down. And so my answer to Chris, I think, with the the answer is story. The answer is to tell a story. Like,
Yeah,
you don't
that's
know
5
how
minutes
long.
easily.
Just tell us, like, start a story. One of the things that made me really proud is back when I started being a keynote speaker, someone who I really respected sat in on my session, Dave Lieberman, and he came up to me afterwards and he was like, Roger, I really think that you should not do any PowerPoint. I think you should do your session without anything. And I was like, well, why would I do that? He was like, because you can. Because you tell so many stories and it's so alive that we don't need the screen. And I was like, yeah, well, I like the screen too. But like before technology, people talked.
Well, Roger, I want to share with you too. I think you or one of your teammates should apply. MPI Cascadia is specifically asking for no PowerPoint presentations for their March conference in 2026. So that's a huge opportunity. And speaking of opportunity too, Roger and I are both going to share some opportunities here. I'll tell you what's going on my side. I'm looking for 30 more people, right? If you're listening to this part, 30 speakers who need video. So my engaging retreat is coming up October 28th through 30th. We're about 29 days, 27 days away. What you get as an attendee, you get a 4-camera professionally edited video, right? Where the clarity and the star is you. We got 18 amazing speakers that I showed you a preview of today. You get photographs from our amazing photographer, Adam Bacher, who is an NSA Oregon member. You get a community of people who really want to be better speakers or leaders, all right, or meeting professionals who want a more engaging environment. And my latest one that you haven't heard about, Roger, we got an award-winning chef this year for the restaurant called Mojitos. Loom is going to be here, and he's going to speak because he shows his story. He shares a story about becoming a dishwasher to becoming an owner of this restaurant, as well as serving the community. They make over 1,000 meals every Thanksgiving to give to the residents in Seattle. For all those people that are here, here's what you get with part of this package. And by listening to this program, you can get this here, all of it for $9.97. And that's what I have. Again, if you only the first 50 people, I've got about 30 seats left, and I can't wait for one of them to be you. Of course, our good friend Roger too is looking around the holiday season. Roger, what are you seeing, and what are people asking for you this next holiday season?
So the interesting thing is that everything continues to be last minute, like very, very last minute. It's October 1st. We're still talking to clients about events that are for the middle of October, and for like late October. So it's everything is like, very last minute. And what people want is really engaging, interactive stuff. So what we find is our top 4 holiday events are Family Feud, or we call it Friendly Feud, Name That Tune, Pop Trivia, and Murder Mysteries. And all of those we sell as team building disguised as fun, or we sell it as entertainment. Either way it works because they are so engaging and so interactive. So that seems to still be the trend for this year. We're still looking for people who want to really look at each other, like interact with each other as part of their activity. So not just a stage show where you're in dark, but rather the lights are on you guys and you're looking at your teams and you're interacting and laughing your faces off. This is what people continue to want for their holiday parties. Thank goodness, because that's a great party.
Well, I can only validate this part here. This was my registration chart from my last program, and talk about people registering late. 80% of the people registered in the last 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it is a challenge for us who are planners, but just like improv, if we have the ability to say yes, we're going to say yes and do that. Roger, why don't you give what's your last piece or your last tip for how to stop losing people's attentions for the month?
Well, I mean, I think we talked about a lot of different things, but really, ultimately, it's be interesting to your audience. Like, be interesting to your participants. Like, so know what they are, what their concerns are, and give them content that helps them solve those problems. But really, be interesting. Like,
Yeah.
you talked about it, John. You went like, there's a person who droned on. You used the word drone. As soon as we hear the word drone, we're like, the person's not interesting. So, be interesting.
Be interesting. And my other one is one of my edicts. If you want engagement, then engage. So think about in these holiday, if you're going to do a holiday party, what's
Yeah.
your goal and how do you want to engage people? I went to a really big rollout party and there were 500 people there. We all had something in common, but they didn't connect us together in any way. And it would have been so easy of like saying either what status you had or places that you traveled was like the thing that we had in common. If there was some way that we could create conversation with it, then we could be engaged with that. So think about that. How can you connect your attendees together and learn more about each other? Roger, as always, thank you. And thank you for being a co-host for the engagement show and sharing your tips of over 33 years of engagement.
Yeah. Thanks, John. Thanks so much for another month. Woo!
That's the engagement show. That's Roger Haskett and myself, and Roger Haskett with Engagement Unlimited, and John Chen here with Engaging Virtual Meetings. Hey, go engage, and we will see you next month.